continuing from where we just left off. In the 19th century, people are going to begin to develop new senses of community that will center on ideas of common language or common ethnic backgrounds or territorial connections or maybe common religions. And we will begin to see the idea of the nation state in Western Europe develop. These ideas come largely from the French Revolution and the aftermath of the French Revolution. We will start to have the idea of the nation and people feeling a connection to each other because of a national identity for the first time in Western European history. For example, if you were the subject of the King of France, you had very little association with any other Frenchman outside of all being subject of the same king. You didn't necessarily feel sovereignty or brotherhood with anybody else in the French nation. All right? You maybe had some like regional identity with people that you connected with because of your language or your language dialect at least, but it didn't go beyond that. But the French Revolution is going to change all that. Because as we say, the French Revolution transforms the people of France from being subjects of a king to being citizens of a nation. And if you notice in this famous painting, anyone know what painting this is?
Liberty leading the people?
Liberty leading the people. Very good. There's Lady Liberty. And she is holding the French flag, the tricolor flag.
Is it Delacroix?
It's Eugene Delacroix, yeah. And in this painting, we see Liberty, obviously, leading the people, but Lady Liberty is holding the French flag. And these French subjects now, no longer subjects, French citizens, are following that idea of freedom and following that idea of a flag. So nationalism, a French nationalism, will bind all French people together. This works in some places very well. It works in France very well. But this will be a tremendous challenge for other states, like the Ottoman Empire, for example. The Ottoman Empire that has many different ethnicities and languages and religions within one massive empire. It's not going to be easy for the Ottoman Empire to deal with notions of nationalism. Because the Ottoman Empire, for example, is going to have Greek people within it. Greek people that speak Greek, that practice what religion? Greek Orthodox Christianity, right? That don't want to necessarily be ruled by a Muslim sultan out of Constantinople, out of Istanbul. And so the Greeks will move for an independence, a national independence movement in the early 1800s. The Serbs within the Ottoman Empire, they will push for independence within the early 19th century. So for massive multi-ethnic empires, holding on in the rise of a nationalist movement is going to be very challenging. Yes, ma'am? No, it's nationalism, but it's the idea that, like, for example, the Serbs within the Ottoman Empire, they're going to say, hey, we're Serbs, and we want to have our own nation state. We don't want to be ruled by by Turkish Muslims out of Istanbul. We want to be ruled by locals that are Serbs, that are like me, that speak like me, that act like me, who are historically connected to me. And so that is nationalism in and of itself. Now, that Serb nation is going to be smaller than a French nation, or smaller than a later German nation that's going to rise, but it's still nationalism nonetheless. Yes?
Why already hasn't, like, everyone in that area separated from the states and countries, like everyone else?
Why hasn't the Ottoman Empire broken up yet?
Yeah.
The Ottoman Empire is still a strong empire, and it's got a strong central bureaucracy, and they've got a strong military, right? And they're not wanting to see everybody break away. So they will fight a war against the Greeks to try to hold on to them. And they will fight against the Serbs to try to hold on to them. So this is where it's starting to happen. Why didn't it happen before? Well, you had military power centralized in the central government. And offshoot groups couldn't compete against that. Why in the 19th century are we going to see offshoot groups push away from central governments? Well, industrialization. It's not just going to make a lot of pants, it's going to make a lot of what? Guns. And weapons and firearms are going to become more easy to acquire, which makes revolutionary movements more ultimately successful. So the manifestation of this nationalism comes in the form of national flags, national anthems. I already mentioned La Marseillaise, this first national anthem. Remember, our national anthem, guys, wasn't written until after the War of 1812, right? And Francis Scott Key saw Fort McHenry being bombarded, right? So the French national anthem, the French national flag, we look at pictures of the unification, like nationalist representations with the unification of Italy in the 1860s, the unification of Germany in the 1870s.
Was that the German flag?
Yep. And ultimately Greek and Serbian independence from the Ottoman Empire as well. All right?